dentist can be filled with fear and anxiety for your kid or grandchild, especially if they need a shot or a vaccine. According to the healthychildren.org, at least 2/3 of kids have a fear of needles. I don't blame them.
I know, and I've experienced this with my 2 kids. I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old, as Dr. Kohli knows. And because of the fear and just the anxiety in general, when you go and visit a doctor, many parents unfortunately put off checkups because they dread how their child might act. And it doesn't have to be this way. So today we have our medical expert, Dr. Payal Kohli, here to weigh in on some tips from the Child Mind Institute. So Dr. Kohli, we're going to go through the tips, and then after each tip, I want you to chime in and tell us what, from your perspective as a doctor, and any little anecdotes you can add. So let's begin. All right. First, they say be clear about the details, about what the doctor appointment will entail. Avoid using vague explanations. Instead, explain each step in clear, detailed way that your child can easily understand. For example, after we go into the exam room, the doctor will listen to your heartbeat with a tool called a stethoscope. Dr. Kohli?
So I love this. Preparing your child for the visit is one of the most important things you can do, but I would say even simplify the language more, because the child doesn't know what a stethoscope is, and you want to make sure to focus on positive words. So don't use the word hurt, don't use the word pain. Say the doctor might give you medicine that's going to make you strong and healthy. You might even want to role play with the child at home using stuffed animals to kind of, act out the visit so that there's no surprises when they go there.
I love that. There's a good episode, by the way, on Daniel Tiger. They do a whole thing on Daniel Tiger, so that's a good one too.
Oh, good. All right, we got another tip. So don't lie when it comes to shots. According to the Children's National Health System, being straightforward would help build trust and ensure that your child won't feel betrayed or blindsided if things don't go as planned, which only increases anxiety for the next time. What do you think?
Yes, also very much in agreement with this. And what I like to tell my patients is give the child some control. So have them choose which arm the shot is going to go into, right? Have them choose the Band-Aid that goes on afterwards and tie it into some kind of reward. So yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. There might be pain, but afterwards, we go for ice cream or get a toy or whatever.
I love it. And that is a tip coming up. Look at Dr. Kohli. She knows exactly what to do.
We didn't show her before.
No, we did not. 2 more tips. Validate their feelings so they do not feel alone. And finally, to Dr. Kohli's point, bring distractions like toys or set up a fun reward afterwards. Grab an ice cream like Dr. Kohli said, or head to the park, do something that they love to do, and any other things that you would add to this.
So I would say a tablet is always a really nice distraction. Sometimes bringing something that they're comfortable with at home, like a blanket or a stuffed animal or something else, that's a really helpful way. And then telling a story using superheroes. So as part of validating their feelings, talking about how when the superhero hits the bad guy and then they get hurt, but then they get better and they recover. So just really explaining to them what happens afterwards and then talking about it the next day and kind of checking in on them and making sure that they don't have lingering feelings or anxiety or anything else that's left over.
And something that was told to me too, because when I had my first child, I was much more anxious. My second child was like, okay, we're going to the doctor. But that first child, I was told that your anxiety, even if you think you're keeping a straight face, is rubbing off on them.
And they can read it too.
Yes. So what are some tips for the parents or the grandparents taking their child or grandchildren?
Yeah, so that's really important, especially I see this during blood draws or phlebotomy with little kids. When you see your child getting poked, you start to get anxious, you get nervous, you see them crying. So just making sure that you have really good insight into your emotions, because even if you're not expressing them or saying them, the child can pick up subliminally what you're feeling. So checking your own fears about the doctor, because I know many of us, even as adults, try to avoid the doctor, really turning all that negativity into something positive. Why we're doing this, what we're getting out of it, how it's going to help us be strong and healthy is important.
If the kids or grandkids were taking notes, the ice cream, I think, is the thing that popped out the most. That would get me excited.
So for my nephew, he got a Nintendo Switch game out of it.
Upgrade the games. Forget about ice cream. Let's go Nintendo.
Dr. Kohli, don't tell that to my kids. My goodness, thank you so much, Dr. Kohli.
Thank you.